Hi there, this is Lee McQueen, and I'm talking about the possibility of Jill Stein doing an end run around the Commission on Presidential Debate. Right now, it's looking like that Gary Johnson may be granted entry into the presidential debate, depending on which polls they use to assess whether he has reached 15%. He's at he's knocking on the double digits right now. So it's possible between now, which is August 9th, and September 26th, if Donald Trump continues to descend in support, that Gary Johnson may ascend in support in the polling and be granted entry at 15% to discuss before a televised audience his party's issues, the Libertarian Party's issues, in a debate against Donald Trump of the Republican Party and Hillary Clinton of the Democratic Party. It appears to me that Jill Stein's numbers are being throttled, and it's possible. I don't know because I'm not doing the polling. I'm not counting the polls any more than I counted the votes, so I could say exactly what happened in each precinct of the United States where the vote totals did not match the exit polls. But I can say that it appears that something strange is happening, and it also appears from what we've seen, the evidence that's been dumped by Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, that the mainstream media is receiving instructions for their coverage, and that includes their polling that they're doing. They're receiving instructions from the Democratic Party, who has been proven to be in collusion with mainstream media already. And now that Hillary Clinton has won her primary, she is actually in charge of the Democratic Party. She is the head of the Democratic Party. They take instructions from her, and then the Democratic Party provides instructions to mainstream media. So it may be the case that Jill Stein is continually throttled from gaining entry into the Commission on Presidential Debates. The Plan B, and we've seen that Jill Stein is a believer in Plan Bs because she has been a Plan B for progressive causes, a just in case scenario. If one thing doesn't work, maybe another will. In a previous video, I suggested that she do an end run, and I tried to even go so far as to work out specifics. Why not? um, Topics that I really feel would really be great to cover include voting reform, instant runoff voting, approval voting, ranked choice voting. These things can be accomplished at the state level. Jill Stein has said it only takes 36 hours to implement these voting reforms, and that means that there's no pressure to vote for the lesser evil. You can actually vote for who and what you want. Instant runoff voting, approval voting, ranked choice voting, these are accomplished within the states, not through a constitutional amendment, not through the U.S. Congress. Each state in the United States runs its own voting system. They decide whether they have a caucus or primary. They decide the deadlines of when to register. They decide the date of when they're going to have their primary voting. All of these things, the states decide that. They decide whether it's an open system or a closed system. And along with that, instant runoff voting, approval voting, or ranked choice voting, these are the states that decide whether they want to do that. And some states are deciding that. California is considering it right now. Their assembly is working on that. There's some states in New England who've already decided that they want to have an alternative to the lesser evil voting. They want to allow people to choose more than one candidate, and then just the candidate with the most approval or the highest ranking, they're the candidate that wins. There's no vote splitting. And also, in addition to that, the paper ballots that I've discussed, paper ballots, the new hotness. That's all the rage in other first world nations and even some third world nations. They use paper ballots because electronic voting is too vulnerable to hacking. As we've seen, there are organizations and institutions that you would think were highly secure and protected, and they are not. But paper balloting is a lot more reliable and can be accomplished between now and November. It's 3 months. Um, yeah. So, along with the paper balloting, Jill Stein can also speak out against the rampant election fraud, the vote suppression, criminal activity, the digital vote flipping. All of this has been outlined point by point and supported with statistical evidence by Election Justice USA. There's lawsuits going forward even now, and Jill Stein might be the person to discuss what has occurred this primary season, since neither Hillary Clinton nor Bernie Sanders have really delved deep into that, and it's unlikely either of them will. And Donald Trump is more about what he's doing rather than what anyone else is doing. And it is noteworthy that the exit polling for the Republican Party primaries were within the margin of error. It is the Democrat Party primary exit polling that was wildly off the final vote count. So the irregularities were on the Democratic side. So it may be that Donald Trump doesn't feel much compunction to talk about what happened, but Hillary Clinton won the primary based upon rampant voter irregularities during the election season. Okay, so along with voting, it's probably one of the best times between now and the general election to really speak in detail, frequently, often, and always about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, because it may be that Barack Obama is going to try to push that through Congress during the lame duck session. So now and the election is the best time to inform the people of each state about Trans-Pacific Partnership and the real harm it will cause our nation, submission of our government to multinational corporations run by elites, run by the 1%, and the potential for increased wage and debt slavery that's irreversible. And along with TPP, it's a great time to talk about TTIP as well, and then also NAFTA, which was a harbinger for both of these trade deals. And who brought NAFTA, who lobbied for it, who was part of that administration, who's responsible for it. People are acting like they don't know how NAFTA got here. Bill and Hillary Clinton is how NAFTA came to take jobs away. And the best states to propose that, I think, are the Rust Belt, because Hillary Clinton is vulnerable there. The more Barack Obama talks about how he wants TPP, the worse she does in polling. So have at it, Jill. And along with that, I mean, the best solution to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, if people say, well, what are you going to do? The Green New Deal, of course. Jill Stein has a solution right at the ready that's doable, that has been done previously. It's something that can be accomplished. If Franklin Delano Roosevelt did the New Deal, which set into place our infrastructure that we've been running on for the past 100 years, now's a great time to talk about improving that infrastructure and make it green for a Green New Deal. Jill Stein has people now. She's got people that can assist her with her campaigning. She's got a vice president, so she can split the duties. It's not going to be just her hitting every state. She can send Ajamu Baraka out to discuss these issues as well. He has spoken out against Trans-Pacific Partnership in previous press interviews. He can speak authoritatively on civil rights issues, social justice, humanitarian issues. He's already spoken internationally on these issues as well. So domestically and in terms of foreign humanitarian issues, Ajamu Baraka can definitely accompany Jill Stein on these road adventures. And also responsibility in our military engagement, police violence, the drug war, mass incarceration, and how it's harming our nation, how it's devouring our youth. and our future. Both Jill and Ajamu Baraka can tell people what happened in Haiti under Hillary Clinton's State Department, what happened in Honduras, what happened in Ecuador, Guatemala, what's happening right now in Syria, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, countries in the Middle East, Somalia, Nigeria, Central African Republic, Congo. It's not just in the Middle East, it's all over the continent of Africa, which is being subjected to constant military violence by our government. It's just never ending. And then also constant violence and interference with nations in South America, the Caribbean. For some reason, our government has been constantly inflicting pain, suffering, and death on the dark people of this world. And now's the time to find out the reasons why, the motivations, and how to stop it, because it needs to stop. Definitely responsible military engagement, not frivolous military engagement. And so during these either a luxury bus, or train campaign stops, this is also a great time to address another issue, and that's the down ballot candidates, who people seem to take as a truth universally known that the Green Party doesn't have any, which is not accurate. They do have a large number of down ballot candidates running for office for 2016. All over Texas, all over California, all over New York, there are Greens currently running for office and will be on the ballot this fall. It would be a great time for them to join Jill Stein and Ajamu Baraka at every single stop in their state and just campaign around the state, especially those running for a statewide office. That's what I highly recommend. So it would be, it would be helpful to Jill Stein to have people, and it would be helpful to down ballot candidates to have the standard bearer at their side. And so I'm thinking that this type of campaign stop, it would be a good idea to start in the Plains states. Again, it's the second week of August. There are Plains states who are trying to complete their ballot access the next week. And what a great idea it would be if Jill Stein were in the vicinity to speak maybe once or twice and encourage those states to complete their ballot access. Montana is going to be August 17th. Utah is August 15th. Let's see. North Dakota is going to be September 5th. And then Wyoming's in there. I don't have the date in front of me, but Wyoming's on this list. And then also Minnesota is going to be August 23rd. But a great idea to just kind of travel around those plain states campaigning on issues, talking about Trans-Pacific Partnership, economic issues, things that Bernie Sanders has shown a lot of people are interested in, indigenous rights, social justice, all that up in the plain states is of interest. There are voters up there. There are citizens up there. There's an electorate up there that likely will be open to being flipped to green. If they're not really interested in the Democratic or Republican parties, they might be persuaded to become green. We shall see. There are definitely progressives up there. There's a large number of Bernie-crats in the Plains states, the middle northwest region. Bernie Sanders has a series of Bernie-crats up there. So populism and progressive issues are important in those states. So that would be a great place to begin, and then have any supporting down ballot candidates to ride with you. I would recommend a stop in Virginia. This is because Terry McAuliffe is very much a Hillary Clinton partisan, and he's the governor. He's fighting Republicans who are running the state apparatus and the election process. But this might be an opportunity for Jill Stein to slip in right through the center of all that action. Virginia has their ballot access petitions going, and the petitions are due on August 26th. And it may not be even just a good idea to double down, as Jill Stein usually does, but it might be necessary to triple down in Virginia. Virginia is a swing state. Everybody wants it. Same with Ohio. It might be necessary to triple down on ballot access signatures. Okay, so after the Plains and then after Virginia, it might be worthwhile to swing through Kentucky. There's ballot access petitions that are due in Kentucky on September 9th. And it might just be worthwhile to swing through Kentucky while you're in the region to do some campaigning and maybe even hit West Virginia while you're at it. Even though green is on the ballot already, it might be good to stop for a campaign stop in West Virginia to talk to Charlotte Pritt, who's running for Green governor. Pick up some populist excitement and generate some noise while you're swinging through West Virginia, which was also very strong for Bernie Sanders and very weak for Hillary Clinton. There's voters there. I'd also say if there's time and if there's money and there's possible to swing through Arizona or Florida. Bernie Sanders is going to be in Florida, who's going to be campaigning with Tim Canova. But it might be a good idea to also, for Jill Stein to swing through Florida. Not for any ballot access campaign. Florida is already has green on the ballot, and so does Arizona. But it might be good to talk about voter issues in Florida, and especially in Florida, to tell people that there are options that they can use to lobby their state election officials to get either approval voting, instant runoff voting, or something to tamp down the fears about the lesser evil and third party candidacy. Okay, and so after the Plain States, after the Virginia and Kentucky, after maybe Arizona and Florida, it might be good to head on up to New England because New England states, let's see, Rhode Island and Rhode Island, Connecticut, no. Well, basically, Rhode Island, they also have, Rhode Island, they also have a ballot access petition. And while you're in New England, it might be a good idea to also campaign with and for the down ballot candidates in the New England area who are green in terms of for the fall election, anticipating that. And so these campaign stops, I'm recommending all through the rest of Arizona. No, all through the rest of August, the second half of August, hitting the Plains area of the United States, and then swinging down to Virginia and Kentucky for maybe the last week in August, and then heading through any other states that are close by, like Virginia, West Virginia. I recommend all that through the final half of August, and then heading up to New England after all the ballot access petitions are finished. And that puts you in New England to campaign for down ballot candidates who can assist you with your campaign and spread the word about the Green Party. And then you're in the vicinity of Hofstra University, Long Island, New York, while you're still campaigning in New York for the Greens who are on the ballot there. And I'm thinking Robin, uh, who is running for Senate as a Green candidate. I interviewed her, campaigned with her in the New York area, and pick up some votes while you're at it. And then if there's a breakthrough with the lawsuits, then you can just step into the debates while you're in the New York area. But still, even if there isn't a breakthrough, you still have your plan B. And your plan B is you continue your campaign, your green campaign, during the rest of September, October, all the way up to the fall election, just crisscrossing the United States with Ajamu Baraka, maybe with Elijah Manley, maybe with Yane Indigo, hitting college campuses in every state. And I mentioned, even with the state of Texas, to not leave any area on the table, that it's possible that you can pick up College Station, of all places. And then other places in the South, there are historically black colleges and universities. We're talking about North Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, Tennessee. There's HBCUs in this region that may be open to a green message if you send greens into those HBCUs on your college tours. Ajamu Baraka, Yane, Elijah Manley, yourself, you can, visit Howard University even. So that's what I, would like to see happen. Maybe even ideally Jill Stein would get into the debates with the other three or two, or however it turns out, major party candidates, if someone feels like doing the right thing this election season for once. But just in case, the plan B, I would recommend the college tour, the multi-state train or bus stop campaign with Gary Johnson or without. And just maybe, you may be approached for a debate if you build up enough support. So good luck.